Snow crunches under heavy boots. A door groans open on rusty hinges. Inside a dark barn, the stench of blood mixes with straw. 6 lifeless bodies lie piled together, skulls caved in, eyes wide open. Whoever killed them didn't leave. They stayed and lived in the house among the corpses for days. You're watching The Untold Archive, where the stories are true and the answers are never complete. Stay with me, because this case is not just murder. It's fear, footsteps in the attic, and a killer who vanished into thin air. If you crave stories that chill you long after the screen goes dark, subscribe now. Because tonight, we're stepping inside Hinterkaifeck, rural Bavaria, Germany in 1922. No highways, no city noise, just endless fields, thick woods, and silence that could stretch for miles. The farm was called Hinterkaifeck, just a lonely homestead, a barn, and a small house about 70 kilometers north of Munich. Inside lived the Gruber family. Andreas Gruber, 63 years old, stubborn, harsh, known by neighbors as a difficult man. His wife, Cecilia, 72, quiet but hardened by farm life. Their daughter, Victoria Gabriel, 35, a widow with 2 children of her own. Little Cecilia Jr., just 7 years old. Baby Joseph, barely 2. And, on that fateful week, a new maid named Maria Baumgartner. Her very first day at Hinterkaifeck would also be her last. That spring was bitterly cold. Snow still clung to the Bavarian soil. Nights were long, shadows even longer. And for weeks before the murders, strange things were happening. Andreas Gruber began noticing footprints in the snow. One morning, he saw tracks leading from the forest to the house. But there were no tracks going back. Someone had come in, but not gone out. Inside, keys began to disappear. Strange noises echoed from the attic at night. Doors unlocked on their own. Neighbors urged Andreas to investigate, to call the police. But he was a proud man. He dismissed it. Yet something was wrong. The farm itself felt watched, and in just a few days, everyone inside would be dead. It was March 31st, 1922. The day had ended like any other. The animals were fed, smoke rose from the chimney, the lamps went out. But sometime after nightfall, the killer struck. No one knows exactly how it started, but evidence shows that one by one, members of the Gruber family were lured into the barn. Perhaps they heard a noise. Perhaps they saw someone. Perhaps they were forced. But Andreas was found first, struck in the skull with a mattock, a sharp farming tool. His wife, his daughter Victoria, and a little Cecilia Jr. followed. They were killed with such force their skulls split open. The bodies were dragged, one by one, and stacked in a pile of straw. Cecilia Jr., just 7 years old, didn't die instantly. Her hands were clenched in terror, clumps of her own hair torn out. She had been alive long enough to know what was happening. Inside the house, baby Joseph was killed in his crib. The new maid Maria was slain in her bed, her suitcase barely unpacked. 6 victims, all dead. But the horror didn't end there. For the next few days, smoke continued to rise from the farmhouse chimney. Neighbors noticed food being eaten, bread freshly cut, milk consumed. The animals were fed, cows were milked, dogs were cared for. Someone was still inside Hinterkaifeck. Someone who had just murdered an entire family. Imagine this, sleeping in your bed, while the person who destroyed everything around you still walks the halls. If you can't look away, hit the like button right now, because the scariest part of this story is only just beginning. On April 4th, 1922, neighbors grew suspicious. The family had not been seen at Sunday Mass. The children were absent from school. Mail was piling up. So neighbors entered the property. They pushed open the barn door. And there it was, the pile of bodies, straw soaked in blood. Inside the home, the rest of the nightmare, Maria and little Joseph. The farmhouse reeked of decay. Silence pressed down on every corner. And worst of all, there was no sign of the killer. Police arrived, but 1920s forensic work was primitive. The crime scene was mishandled, trampled by villagers, evidence destroyed. Still, investigators pieced together chilling clues. The murders had been carried out with a mattock, found later hidden in the attic. The killer had stayed in the house, possibly for days. No money or valuables were stolen. This wasn't robbery. Theories swirled. One pointed to Lorenz Schlittenbauer, a neighbor who had a complicated history with Victoria Gabriel. Some believed he was the father of little Joseph. Others suspected jealousy, revenge, or shame. Schlittenbauer behaved strangely at the crime scene. He seemed to unlock doors with ease, as if he had a key. Some even said he acted more curious than horrified. But no direct evidence tied him. Other theories pointed to a wandering vagrant, or to soldiers returning from the war, or to a ritual killing. The most disturbing whispers, though, focused on the family itself. It was rumored that Andreas Gruber had forced an incestuous relationship with his daughter Victoria. Some believed this curse of secrecy had brought death upon the house, but none of it was proven. The farmhouse was demolished in 1923. During demolition, workers uncovered the blood-stained mattock buried in the attic, as if hidden away by the killer. The victims' skulls were sent to Munich for examination, but during World War II, they were lost forever. Today, all that marks the site of Hinterkaifeck is a small memorial cross deep in the woods. And still, the question remains: who killed the Gruber family? And why did they stay behind to live among the dead? 6 people murdered. A killer who fed the animals, ate their food, and perhaps even slept in their beds, while the bodies lay cold in the barn. Over a century has passed, but the mystery has never been solved. Was it a jealous neighbor, a vagrant passing through? Or was the real horror something closer to home, hidden within the family itself? What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading every one. And remember, sometimes the footsteps in the attic are real.